Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to Cloud Test Lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
All right. So now let's look at the call to action quickly. So basically, call to action is nothing but whenever you see like any script list you want to call into a different script. So this way, like we can make use of this call to action. Okay, how to call script into another script, right? Or how to call an action into another script. So that's where this reusable actions, where there is a call to copy of action and call to an existing action. So the difference between them is call to existing action is read only. You cannot make any modifications to the script. Call to copy of action is basically you can also modify your script, modify the action when you call into your script. Okay, so let me quickly demonstrate how you can do that. So basically, in the last class, we recorded a few scripts, right? Say login and reservation and log off and so on. And then now I'm going to show you how you can call those actions. Like whenever just you record any script, right? Say for example, okay, so I think this is the one. So what you have to do is, so basically, you are going to look at here. So this is the login part. So whenever just you create actions, so you can so what's not the actions? Okay, let me open from the folder structure. Alright, so in the best scripts, like basically like we created multiple scripts, right? Say login, reservation, and so on. Whenever you record a script, this one is that one. So here, so by default, it's going to create an action 1, right? Whenever you record the script, it's going to create an action 1. And you can also modify this. And by default, it is a reusable action. So you can also modify these actions. Just right-click and then say action properties. And then now you're going to put here the action name, login. And also, you're going to put all the stuff, okay? So what are the description of this particular action? That way just you can also rename the action to a proper name. So once you're done with this, then this way like you can create multiple scripts with multiple actions. And then, so next thing is you're going to create a master script, right? So how you create a master script, like to call all the scripts one by one, is create a new script. And now you can insert. So insert call to an existing action. Okay, so you're going to select this menu. Insert call to existing action. And then, so you're going to click on this button. So browse for file button, and you're going to select the script. Okay, so you're going to select the script here. Here, just go to that particular folder. So under C. Okay, so this is the folder, and then you're going to select the scripts one by one. What are the script that you want to call? Say first I want to call, say, login part, right? So you select that particular script, and then I think I selected the wrong one. So here, so this is the folder structure. Thing. Okay, so this is the script, and then it gives, okay, what the script is going to do, just the description what we put before, and then click OK. So that way the script is called. Even if you look at the expert view, also like if you select from this drop-down list, from this action 1, right, you see that particular action is called. So this way you're going to call different actions. But as I mentioned, because this one I called as an existing action, right? And the next one, say, if I'm going to call, say, copy of action. Okay, select call to copy of action. Then you're going to select now the reservation action. So you can click on this button and then go to that particular folder. Okay, so go to this folder, and then you're going to select, say, reservation, right? Where is that one? That script, and then the reservation. So you're going to call this particular script now. Okay, so this action is going to do the flight reservation, and then click OK. This is called to copy of action. You see the difference between them? The first one is called an existing action. The second one is called to copy of action. Even it says like, okay, it is a copy of reservation. The login, it didn't say like it's a copy of it. So the difference between them is, now when you click on here, you see copy of reservation and also login, right? In this drop down. The advantage here is, even you see the same thing in the keyword view also, right? So these are the different things, login and copy of reservation. So the advantage with the copy of reservation is you can also modify the script because it gives read-only, read-write. So okay, now I want to select a different fly to city or fly from city, or you can also change the customer name. So that way you can modify the script. You can also parameterize your script. Whereas when you select here login part, then you see it's a grayed out. You cannot really modify this particular action here because everything is grayed out. So that is the difference between call to an existing action is read only. You cannot modify it, whereas call to copy of action is it's a read write. You can modify your script when you call into the other script. Okay, you can modify the action whenever you call or use in a different script. Okay, so is that clear? Any questions?
Thank you, Sam. It was clear. What is the use of this functions like call to action and copy to action in testing? Is for the precondition one of them?
Yes. So basically, sometimes what happens is, usually like in the projects, we do most of the time these reusable actions. So that's where whenever you write the manual test cases or like you see, basically in the Excel sheet, you had a precondition, right? So that's where. So okay, for this particular test, I am creating a script for reservation, but I want the login script. Okay, I don't want a record. Just I want to see like is there any action does that login part, because my responsibility is to create the reservation. So those are the things like we can really automate using this call to actions. Okay. All right. So now, what I was going to do, just give me one sec. Let me open that Excel sheet. Now today we're going to look at the output values.
Regular expressions are the ones where they don't change. Dynamic one change. Number the change was. रिपोर्ट नहीं है क्या सर?
Okay. All right. So now let's look at some of these test cases. So we did this transactions, how to measure the time. And then we did the parameterization and all this stuff. Okay. So this is the one. Basically, we are trying to here capture. You see this particular test case. So what it says, just create order, and then so you're going to capture the order number, because you're going to use that order number somewhere else. Okay, that's where you're going to create order, and then so this is the customer name, flight from city and flight to city, and then so whenever the system creates orders, you're going to capture the order numbers. That's what the manual test case says, right? Then how you're going to capture the order numbers? So in the last class, I think we discussed. Right, so in the last class we discussed output values. Okay, so output values is basically, we discussed about the regular expressions. So what's the regular expressions we discussed? Idea, what's the regular expressions? Dynamic objects. Good. So it's basically to handle dynamic objects. dynamic objects here. Whereas output values is to handle the dynamic data. Okay, output value is to handle this dynamic data, whatever the data that you want to output. So you can use this output value functionality. Say for example, what's the difference between an object and the data? So difference between an object and the data. So if you look at, say for example, we're talking about so here, whenever just we create order, right? Then you're going to enter the customer name and then insert order. And then here, once the order is created, just say you can fax order, right? So the basic difference between the dynamic objects and the dynamic data is whatever the order that gets created, this is the dynamic data. See, once you create an order, see, it is going to populate all this information, right? See, okay, let me first one more. Let's create one more order. So here, whenever I'm creating order, just I'm filling only this information. I'm going to select, and then the moment I select here the flight, then it's going to fill all this information, right? Because all this data that is coming dynamically. Once again, I'm doing, whenever I fill this data flight from city and flight to city, and then depending on what is that flight from city and flight to city you have selected here, and then the moment you click on this flights button, it is going to populate that information dynamically. It's going to populate that information dynamically. So this is the dynamic data, or in terms, this is the runtime data. So what happens is, whenever once this data is populated, just you are going to select a flight from this place, right? Okay, so the customer is interested in this particular flight. You go and select that particular flight and then click OK. So the moment you click OK, then again it's going to populate all this information dynamically. It's not something that you are entering, right? So all this data is going to get from the application dynamically. This is the dynamic data or runtime data. Whenever you use the application, it automatically populates that data. Whatever the cities, and you are providing here flight from city and flight to city, but the rest of the data will be populated by the system or by the application. That is the dynamic data. Okay, so if you capture any of this information, because I want to capture this information and store this information, right? Even after this, like you're going to enter the customer name and insert order. Then what happens? The system is going to generate order, and then it's going to populate like whatever that order it is created. All such data is dynamic data or the runtime data. Okay. Then what is a dynamic object? So as I mentioned before, the dynamic objects are nothing but say window titles or something. This particular button enable or disable, right? When this particular button gets enabled or disabled, only if you provide the information here. Okay, so whenever you create a new order, if you don't enter any information, this particular button should be disabled. So enabling or disabling properties, those are called the dynamic objects. Similarly, the window title, fax order. So those are called the dynamic objects, and this is called the dynamic data. This there? the difference between the objects. Objects are nothing but the window titles or particular button enabled or disabled. Those are basically called the properties. Okay, so in other words, like in order to distinguish these things, usually like objects, just we deal with the properties. Okay, so whether that particular property enabled or disabled. For example, window title or object state. Object state means enable or disable. Okay, enable or disable. So these are the things that comes under the properties, the button properties. Where the dynamic data is something, for example, the order number. Okay, this is the order number or the flight number, whatever the data that populates by the application. Clear? Object and the data. So in order to deal with the objects, you have to go for the regular expressions. In order to deal with the data, you have to go for output values. So here in our case, if you look at this particular test case, so you want to capture the order number because the test case says, hey, you have to, whenever just you create order, you want to capture the order number, whatever that order that is created by the application. You're going to really use here the output value functionality. Okay. Any questions before I go and show you like how you can do these output values? All right. So now let's do this script. So I'm going to create a new test. Okay, and then so I'm going to record the script. So first I'm going to open the application, and then so this is the application I'm going to open and record. Alright, so I'm going to record the application. So enter agent name and then the password. Okay. Now we are going to enter here. Say I'm going to create a new order, and then so just fill all this information. Then insert order. So once the insert order is done, the next thing is I'm going to capture this order number, right? So for that, just go here, insert output value. Okay, insert output value. Then you select text output value because you are going to capture that value from this text box, right? So from the edit or text box, this is a text box. You are going to capture the order number from this text box. That's where you're going to select text output value. And then, so you're going to hit on top of this number. So you get the hand icon, right? Just click on top of this number. And then, so you will get this text output value properties window. And then, so you're going to click OK button. Okay. Going to click OK button now. And now you will get the text output value properties window. Okay, text output value properties. Then click on this modify button here, and then you're going to provide here output value, or just you can say order number instead of output value. Okay, say order number, and then click OK and click OK. So what happens the moment when you create an order, then it's going to capture the order number using this output value functionality. And then you go ahead and continue your script, because in the rest of the script I want to update order, right? Say in order to update order, first you are going to open order. So select this open order. I'm just continuing recording the script. And then you're going to select here, check this checkbox order number and provide say 77. Because I'm going to update this particular order, and click OK button. Okay, so that's going to open the order, and now I'm going to update the number of tickets, say 3. Okay, and click on update order button. So now it's going to update the order. Okay, so it says update is done. And now we're going to, so once update is done, then I'm going to close the application and stop recording. So what this script is going to do, it's going to create a new order, and then we're going to update the order. Okay. Okay. So once it creates order, then it's going to update order. So once update order is done, then that ends the script, right? And now what happens when you look at the active screens? Is somebody speaking on the mic? Okay. So wherever just you place the cursor, say this is where you are going to check the order number. See the active screen, and the next step is that's where you are going to enter the order number, right? So 77. So what happens here is, see, it is hard coded here, because whenever you run the script, it always updates the 77 order, right? It always updates the order number 77. So instead of updating the order, the same order again and again, whatever the order that my script creates, I'm going to update that particular order, right? So that is where here you see there is a configure the value button. Click on this button and go to the parameter. You need not create any new parameter in this case, because whenever you output value, it automatically creates the parameter. If you look at from this drop-down list, you see the order number is already created, the parameter. So you are going to select the existing parameter now. So select this parameter name and click OK button. Okay. So this way you are going to select the parameter name, and then so whenever you run the script, okay. So let me show you. Now I'm going to run the script. Okay, I'm going to. All right. So I'm going to run the script now. So it's going to create the order. So now it's going to see it's inserting order now, and then it generates now, because the script creates a new order, and that order is 78, right? It's going to create a new order, and that order number is 78. So let's see. now it's going to update the order. So in order to update order, then first it has to open that order number, right? So it check the checkbox, that particular line, and then even if you look at now in the script, the data table. This is my data table. You see, it's going to output whatever the order is created. See, because the application generates the order number 78, so it is going to output that order number here. This is the dynamic data. This is the runtime data. Because this order creates a runtime by the application. So you are going to capture that order number here. And then the rest of the script, whenever you run, so it's going to input now the order number 78. It's not always 77 because here at this point you parameterized, right? Because you are asking the script to read the data from this column. That's what the parameter is, right? So here you are asking from this column, say order number column. Okay, you see here the value of the order number from data table column. The value of order number from the data table column. So you are going to read whatever the order number that outputs. And then it's going to update that particular order. So when you run it further, then it's going to open that order and then it's going to input with 3 tickets and then update is done. Okay, so now it's going to update the 78th order with 3 tickets. That's it. So the update is done and then it's going to close the application. So that's the final step. So this way, whenever you want to output the data, output the runtime data or output the dynamic data from the application, so you're going to use this output values. Any questions? Okay, so can you do this? So please do this output values.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website H2KInfosys.com. On our website H2KInfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.